this is Nick, the Intermediate DM. The focus of this video is going to be on what you need to actually play Dungeons & Dragons. The short answer is not a whole lot. As most things you need to play, you can actually get for free or really cheap alternatives. So, number one is dice. So the set of the polyhedral die, you can actually find fairly cheap on Amazon for about $2-3. If you don't have Amazon to order from, or you just don't want to pay the $3, I'll post, there's apps, one's called DN Dice, that give you all the dice you need on an app, so you can just play through your phone as far as the rolling goes. It is a good alternative to actually owning dice, but honestly, it feels much better rolling a dice and hearing that like sound as it hits and rolls than it ever feels when you're just swiping your finger to roll a dice on a phone. Another thing is kind of a board to play on. So you can play Theater of the Mind, which is you're not actually playing, you're playing purely through verbal descriptions. The only reason I don't like this is it's hard to keep track of things where an ability requires you to be within 5 feet of an enemy or 5 feet of an ally. And while other things will hit a radius like 15, so it's like, who all is in that radius? So it's really hard to kind of imagine who all it's hitting and what strategies involved when you can't actually see where people are and you're just trying to imagine in your mind where that is. So one option is you can buy a bunch of little maps like these. So this is not the cheapest option in the world. I own these purely for aesthetic reasons. I like the way they look. But what I actually play on more often than not is actually just a repurposed game board. So I use this. It folds out to become a very large map, and honestly what it is, it's the backside of a Monopoly board. So I like it, it's convenient, it folds to be pretty convenient for travel. I described, they're obviously not just playing on a plain, they're not just roaming around a plain black field. I describe their surroundings so they kind of know what their surroundings look like, but then they have their people on the board to mark their positions. When I do need to use it to create walls, I'll use just little Lego pieces, and I use it to just make walls, or there's a rock here, or there's something here to hide behind. So I'll use it to make little boundaries so they can't just pass or give them line of sight advantage or disadvantage, things like that. Another thing is characters. So you have your options. So I like miniatures, especially for my players themselves. I usually actually buy, these are usually a bit more expensive, anywhere from like $5 to $15. So they're kind of outrageously priced, but for my players in the campaign who I'll use that miniature every time we play, I don't mind spending that. As far as like other people we come across at the time, I've got some characters like this guy. He came from a board game that was Magic the Gathering board game, and it was cheap and it gave me a bunch of little miniatures for free. I also use this. While he is considerably bigger than my miniatures, I got this guy in a bucket with like 100 of them, and it was like $5. I got a bucket of skeletons for like $3. I got a bucket of little monsters for like $4 or $5. So there's a lot of good options just to get cheap things to fill your board game with. They might not be the most aesthetically pleasing, but actually it gets the job done, and it gets it done well. Also books. So as a DM, you should have this. This is the Dungeon Master's Guide. You can find PDF versions of this. This is for 5th edition. I'll talk about editions for in another video. So this is the Dungeon Master's Guide. I advise reading through a good portion of it before you actually play. Eventually towards the end, it kind of just gets into different magic items that you can give as loot. You don't really need to read too much into that before you just start playing, but it will give you a good idea of what to do and what your role is as a DM. Another helpful book is this one here, the Monster Manual. The Monster Manual is mostly just a stat block. It's a stat block, and it also gives a little bit of background information about how to play some of the characters and their backgrounds. So you can do without this, as most things you can find stat blocks online. What's actually helped me is reading through this, or sometimes flipping to random pages. I find creatures that I like that I never would have thought of. If it wasn't for this book, I never would have thought to bring some of these creatures into my game, especially some of the various like creatures at sea or in caves. And the last one on this one, and this one's like an absolute. So there's a PDF version online of this too. I'll post the link for it. The Player's Handbook, I advise reading almost all of it before you play. I mean, it has several pages, but a lot of it is pictures. There's not as much reading as it would seem for a book of its size. It really helps you understand how each of the characters work, how spells work, how attacks work, how different abilities work. So you get a good sense. If you know how your players' characters work, it helps you make decisions when they're trying to do stuff. Also, your players might want to give a good read, especially for their own character and how their own character works. There's several other books that Wizards of the Coast has produced that are just good little supplements and additions to it. You can buy them, and they're fun, and they help, and they give you some new information, but I wouldn't consider them as essential as these three. But like I said, I bought these for convenience. There are PDF versions you can find online. For me, it's a lot easier to flip through pages of books to find stuff than it is to flip through a little PDF on my phone or on my computer. The basics of what you need is you need something to play on, something to play with, and it doesn't even have to be miniatures. I've seen people use coins to mark their locations. You need something for your dice, whether that's actual dice or whether that's a phone app, and you need just the general information, which you can be found on the books or found in the PDFs. So in closing, once again, my name is Nick. I'm the Intermediate DM. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe to my channel.